Most people try to change their lives by effort, struggle, and control, but Neville Goddard revealed something astonishing. Nothing changes out there until you change what you feel in here. You've been taught to wait for proof before believing, yet the truth is reversed. Belief is what brings the proof. Imagine if every delay, every unanswered prayer, wasn't punishment or bad luck, but simply a reflection of how little you've dared to feel it real. This isn't another motivational idea, it's a law. Your imagination is the stage where creation begins, and your emotions are the brushstrokes painting tomorrow's world. Once you understand that feeling is the secret, you realize you've had the power all along, not to wish for the life you want, but to remember it as already yours. Because the moment you believe it real, reality has no choice but to follow. Most people think imagination is just a way to escape, a temporary refuge from the weight of reality. But Neville Goddard revealed something radically different. Imagination creates reality. Everything you can touch, see, or experience began as an invisible seed in someone's mind. When you truly feel it real, you're not running away from life, you're authoring it. What begins as a vision within eventually becomes the ground you walk upon. Think about it. Every invention, every piece of art, every life transformed started the same way, as a thought charged with emotion. That's the essence of the law of assumption. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the universe reorganizes itself to mirror that state. It's not about forcing the outer world, it's about feeling the inner one so deeply that reality has no choice but to follow. Neville said, "Creation is finished." Size meaning everything you could ever desire already exists. Your role is simply to align your consciousness with it. When you imagine and believe, you're not pretending. You're entering the level of reality where your wish is already complete. The difference between pretending and creating lies in emotion. Pretending knows it's not real. Imagination feels it real, and that feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Imagine someone longing for peace. If they use imagination to escape their anxiety, they may find temporary relief. But if they use imagination to create peace, to feel calm, grounded, and safe, their outer world slowly bends toward that inner state. That's how the law of assumption manifestation works, not through effort, but through identity. You don't chase peace, you become it. It's like planting a seed in fertile soil. You don't dig it up every morning to see if it's growing. You trust the unseen process. In imagination, the feeling of the wish fulfilled is that seed. The more you water it with faith and consistency, the more certain its manifestation becomes. The soil never doubts the seed. Why should you doubt your imagination? Every visionary has understood this law, whether they knew Neville Goddard or not. Athletes visualize victory before stepping on the field. Artists see the final masterpiece before a single brushstroke. They live from the end, not toward it. That's the magic Neville called living in the end. To feel now what the world will one day call real. Look around you. Every object, every structure, every melody was once a private daydream. Someone dared to imagine it so vividly that it crossed from thought to matter. Imagination creates reality because emotion fuses thought into substance. When you feel it real, you move creation from concept into embodiment. So the next time you close your eyes, don't use imagination to hide from life. Use it as the sacred workshop where tomorrow is built. Every feeling you impress upon your inner world becomes the blueprint of your outer experience. The more sincerely you feel, the faster life obeys. When this truth sinks in, the world stops being something that happens to you and becomes something that happens through you. You're not escaping when you imagine, you're commanding reality. Every scene you dwell upon is a seed taking root. And once you realize that imagination is not an escape, but the very act of creation itself, a question begins to form quietly within you. If imagination truly creates my world, how do I step inside it so completely that the boundary between thought and life disappears? Most people try to visualize their desires like spectators watching a movie. They see it, but remain outside the frame. Neville Goddard's teaching turns that idea inside out. He said the real power begins the moment you stop observing and start entering the scene. When you imagine, you must feel yourself there, breathe the air, hear the sounds, touch the texture of the moment. That's the secret key. Emotion transforms imagination into experience. Neville called it the art of feeling. You don't visualize to analyze, you visualize to inhabit. To imagine is to move consciousness. to shift identity from who you are to who you wish to be. The mind may say, "This isn't real yet," but feeling whispers, "It already is." The moment you dwell in that emotional certainty, the outer world quietly begins to reshape itself in your image. Imagine someone who wants abundance, but keeps watching it from a distance, as if wealth belonged to someone else. They close their eyes and see money, but they feel lack. That's observation, not embodiment. To imagine correctly, they must step into the version of themselves who already has it, pay the bills in their mind with ease, feel the gratitude, sense the stability. The emotion of already having is the magnet that draws it in. It's like the difference between reading about a vacation and standing barefoot on the beach. One is intellectual, the other is experiential. The law of assumption isn't about convincing yourself with words. It's about feeling truth without needing proof. Once the inner scene feels natural, creation is finished. The outer world becomes merely the delayed reflection of your internal conviction. Neville often said that imagination creates reality because feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. If you imagine a wish but feel doubt, you've built a bridge halfway. But if you imagine and feel the joy, the relief, the peace of fulfillment, the bridge completes itself. Feeling is the prayer. It's not what you say to God, it's how you feel when you say it. Every night before sleep, Neville practiced what he called living in the end. He didn't ask or beg, he felt himself already in possession of his desire. Whether it was success, healing, or love, he imagined until it felt real, and then released it, trusting that consciousness had already done the work. The outer results were simply time catching up to imagination. You might try this tonight. Pick one scene that implies your wish fulfilled. Enter it as if it were happening now. Hear a loved one congratulating you, or feel the warmth of accomplishment. Let your senses participate. Don't force it, feel it. That's how you move from mental imagery to energetic embodiment. When you live from the wish fulfilled, the struggle to make things happen fades. Life begins to flow as if something greater is guiding you, because it is. Your own imagination, fully believed. The more naturally you feel that scene, the less you need to chase results. You already carry the vibration of completion, and that's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to create and start feeling it real, the world begins to change. You're no longer the one observing the dream. You've become the dreamer who wakes within it. But most people miss this step entirely. They confuse daydreaming with living in the end, and that single misunderstanding can delay everything they've been praying for. Most people spend their lives daydreaming about what they want, not from it. They imagine the wish as something out there, distant, shiny, unreachable, and then they wonder why it keeps slipping away. Neville Goddard taught that every moment you feel separation between yourself and your desire, you're declaring that it's not yet yours. That emotional distance becomes the very wall that delays its arrival. Daydreaming about is safe. It allows you to stay who you are while admiring what could be, but to imagine from the wish fulfilled requires courage because it asks you to die to your current self. The you who lacks must dissolve so the you who has can emerge. That's the real alchemy Neville spoke of, transformation through assumption. Imagine someone wanting love but always imagining themselves alone, hoping one day they'll meet the one. Their mental movie shows two people together, but they still feel lonely. That's daydreaming about. The moment they shift to imagining from, feeling the warmth of a shared bed, the sound of laughter in the kitchen, they've crossed the line between wanting and having. Distance in imagination equals delay in manifestation because you cannot receive what you continue to confirm is missing. You can't attract abundance while feeling poor, or call in healing while identifying as broken. The law of assumption manifestation responds to who you believe yourself to be right now, not who you hope to become later. Think of it like a movie projector. The film inside determines the picture on the screen. Daydreaming about your wish is like staring at the screen, wishing it would change. Living from the wish fulfilled is like replacing the film itself. When you feel the scene is already done, the projection must follow. The screen has no power of its own. Neville explained that living in the end isn't pretending or ignoring circumstances, it's shifting your inner position. You stop thinking, "I will," and start thinking, "I am." This small change creates an enormous energetic leap. When you say "I am," you claim the identity of fulfillment, and imagination, the creative power itself, rushes to confirm it. This is why people sometimes say manifestation feels slow. It's not time that delays you, it's the emotional gap between your state and your desire. Every moment spent hoping reinforces the idea that you don't yet have it, but every moment spent feeling it, real shortens that distance until the inner and outer become one seamless experience. Imagine a musician longing for recognition. If she keeps picturing applause while feeling like a failure, she lives in two different realities. But when she practices as the successful artist, when she hears the cheers in her mind and feels the gratitude as if it's now, the energy shifts. Opportunities appear. People respond. The mirror reflects belief. Neville said, "You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled until your assumption has all the sensory vividness of reality." That's not poetry, it's instruction. Daydreams feed fantasy. Assumption feeds creation. The moment you start thinking from rather than about, the universe no longer has to catch up to you. It's already caught you. And maybe that's the quiet secret most never realize. Your wish isn't waiting for you in the future. It's waiting for you to step inside it now. Because the longer you keep it at a distance, the longer it must remain a dream. But once you feel it real, everything begins to move. Feeling it real, it sounds simple, but it's one of the deepest truths Neville Goddard ever shared. Most people spend their lives hoping, waiting, praying for a sign that something will change. But feeling it real isn't about waiting, it's about being. It's the quiet art of sensing your wish as already complete right here, right now. When you embody the emotion of fulfillment, you collapse the distance between imagination and experience. Neville said that hope looks to the future, but faith feels now. To feel it real is to move from wishing to knowing, from I want to I am. It's that subtle shift in identity that unlocks the law of assumption manifestation. You no longer chase results. You rest in the awareness that creation is finished, and what you have felt with conviction must appear in time. It's like the moment after you've ordered food at a restaurant. You don't doubt whether it's coming. You relax, talk, and enjoy the moment. That calm confidence is the same energy of feeling it real. You've made your request through imagination, and now you rest in the state of fulfillment, knowing it's already being prepared behind the scenes. When Neville said feeling is the secret, he meant that emotion is the creative substance of reality. It's not what you think, but what you feel that impresses the subconscious mind. If you say, "I am abundant," but feel lack, the subconscious hears the feeling, not the words. To feel abundance now, to sense the relief, gratitude, and ease of already having it, is to give form to the invisible. Imagine someone longing for healing. They visualize perfect health but continue to feel fragile and fearful. That's divided creation. The true turning point happens when they feel the vitality of being well, when they walk, breathe, and rest as though health is already restored. That emotional embodiment reprograms every cell to follow the new assumption. Feeling it real is not pretending something's true. It's remembering that consciousness is the only reality. The body, the circumstances, the evidence, all are reflections of what you've already accepted as true within. When you feel the emotion of completion, even without proof, you're telling life, "This is who I am now." And reality simply agrees. You can practice this in small ways. Before sleep, imagine one simple scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. Maybe a friend congratulating you, or you breathing easily, smiling, feeling peaceful. Don't strain to see it clearly. Just sink into the feeling until it feels natural. That's the language your subconscious understands, not words but moods. The key is naturalness. When it no longer feels like effort to imagine, you've crossed from trying into being. You no longer need to remind yourself. The feeling begins to live inside you. From that moment on, you're magnetizing everything that matches it, effortlessly. The world must mirror your inner certainty because imagination creates reality. To feel it real is to act as if there's nothing left to fix, no gap to close, no waiting required. You become the person who already possesses what they once prayed for. Life responds to that vibration like a perfect echo, returning to you the very tone you've sent out through emotion. And here's the beauty. Once you've learned to feel fulfillment now, not later, you stop worrying about how it will happen. The path unfolds naturally, almost playfully. But that's where many people stumble next. They confuse the technique with repetition, not realizing that what truly matters is the scene that implies completion. Neville Goddard always said, "Don't imagine too much. Imagine well." The secret isn't in endless visualization, but in one short, vivid scene that implies your wish fulfilled. You don't need a movie, you need a moment. A scene so natural and emotionally charged that your mind accepts it as truth. When you see through your own eyes, hear the sounds and feel the satisfaction, your subconscious can no longer tell the difference between imagination and memory. Pick one simple scene. Maybe it's shaking someone's hand as they congratulate you, or seeing your name written on that document, or lying in bed whispering, "It's done." The scene doesn't need to explain how it happened. It only needs to imply that it has. The simpler the image, the deeper the feeling. This is the heart of the wish-fulfilled Neville method. When you imagine, use all your senses. Feel the weight of the moment in your body. Hear the subtle sounds, the echo of footsteps, the softness of someone's voice, the hum of life around you. Smell the air, taste the emotion. Imagination creates reality because it reproduces the sensory texture of experience. The more vividly you engage your senses, the more naturally your mind records it as real. Many people make the mistake of watching themselves from a distance, as though they're watching a movie. But you must enter the scene. Look out through your own eyes. Feel the floor beneath your feet, the emotion in your chest. When you identify with the version of yourself inside the wish, you stop being the dreamer and become the one living the dream. Neville used to say that your imaginal scene should always lead toward the feeling of relief and satisfaction, the emotional signature of something completed. You're not imagining the process, you're imagining the result. If you want reconciliation, imagine the hug. If you want abundance, imagine the gratitude. If you want healing, imagine the ease. Always the end, never the middle. Practice this at night, just before sleep. In that drowsy state between waking and dreaming, your mind is most receptive. Replay your chosen scene gently, without strain. Let it carry you into sleep. That's when the subconscious accepts it as fact, because the feeling has bypassed the guard of reason. The seed of creation is planted in that quiet space. The beauty of this practice is that you don't need to do it perfectly. Even a few seconds of genuine emotion are more powerful than minutes of forced visualization. What matters isn't the clarity of the image, but the reality of the feeling. When it feels natural, it's done. The law of assumption manifestation doesn't require effort, it requires alignment. Over time, you'll notice that the scene begins to replay itself effortlessly, even during the day. That's the subconscious saying, "I've got it now." When that happens, don't interfere. Just trust that the invisible has already taken form. Remember, creation is finished. You're simply tuning into the version of reality that matches your inner movie. Think of this as rehearsal for reality. Every night you step onto the stage of imagination and live the outcome as if it's happening. Eventually, life imitates that inner performance. The applause you hear in your mind becomes the applause you hear in the world. You don't have to force it, just keep feeling it real until it feels like memory. And soon, without even realizing it, you'll find yourself in a scene eerily similar to the one you imagined. You'll smile quietly, knowing it wasn't coincidence, it was creation responding. But before that moment arrives, something else happens first. Emotion begins to crystallize into form, and that's where the next secret unfolds. Emotion is the electricity of creation. Without it, imagination is just a flickering light with no current to sustain it. Neville Goddard taught that what gives form to imagination isn't thought, but feeling. When your inner scene begins to stir genuine emotion, gratitude, relief, quiet joy, that's the moment the invisible takes on substance. You've crossed the bridge from mere concept to living creation. Think of emotion as the glue that binds imagination to reality. You can visualize endlessly, but until you feel something shift inside you, the image remains flat, like a painting without depth. The instant your heart participates, the picture becomes three-dimensional. That's the pulse of life entering your assumption. Emotion is what tells the subconscious, this is real. Begin building it. Neville often said that gratitude is the most natural feeling of fulfillment. You don't have to force it. It arises spontaneously when you sense your wish is already done. It's the soul's quiet exhale, the relief that comes when striving ends. When you feel that calm joy, you've stopped seeking. You've stepped into being. And that vibration, more than any ritual, is what moves mountains. Imagine someone visualizing success but feeling tense and doubtful. Their emotion contradicts their image, and so nothing changes. But another person imagines the same scene with deep gratitude, feeling the warmth of completion, and the world bends in their favor. Emotion decides which imagination takes root. The heart is the engine of manifestation. You might think of it like clay on a potter's wheel. The imagination shapes the design, but emotion gives it density, texture and weight. Without emotional substance, the form collapses. Gratitude, relief, and joy are the elements that harden imagination into reality. They signal to life, this is finished, let it be so. Sometimes people ask, how do I know it's working? The answer is always emotional. You'll feel a subtle shift. The worry softens, the urgency fades, and peace takes its place. That's the sign you've entered alignment with the wish fulfilled. You no longer wonder if it will happen. You sense that it already has. That inner calm is the echo of creation completed. Neville explained that when you feel relief, it's not because you've given up. It's because you've let go. You've stopped vibrating lack and started radiating completion. That single emotional change can realign your entire world. You might not see instant proof, but the foundation beneath reality has already shifted. You can even use gratitude deliberately. Close your eyes and whisper, thank you, not for what's coming, but for what's here now. Feel it until it brings a smile. That's not positive thinking, that's conscious creation. Gratitude is the emotional signature of fulfillment, and the subconscious reads it as evidence that the wish is real. When you practice this consistently, you begin to notice how emotion precedes evidence. Coincidences multiply, doors open, people respond differently. It's not magic, it's resonance. The outer world starts to match the emotional frequency you've stabilized within. Emotion fuses imagination into form because feeling is creation in motion. And once you recognize that, you stop chasing signs and start cultivating states. You realize that peace and gratitude aren't rewards for manifestation, they're the cause. But what happens when life contradicts that peace? When appearances seem to fall apart instead of aligning? That's where persistence becomes your greatest ally. There comes a moment in every manifestation when reality seems to argue with your faith. The bills arrive, the message doesn't come, the door closes, and doubt whispers, see, it's not working. But Neville Goddard taught that this is the precise moment when creation is ripening, not failing. When appearances contradict you, your task isn't to panic or retreat, but to persist gently in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Reality is not testing you, it's reflecting your last dominant assumption. When the mirror shows an image you don't like, you don't smash the mirror, you change your expression. The same law applies here. The world must rearrange itself to match the vibration you sustain. If you hold the feeling of completion, even when the outer scene seems broken, life quietly begins to shift beneath the surface. Neville used the word persistence often, but not in the sense of struggle or effort. It's a calm insistence, a soft faith that refuses to waver. To persist is to remember your inner truth when the senses try to make you forget. It's to walk through a storm while feeling the warmth of the sun you know is behind the clouds. Think of it like planting a seed. You wouldn't dig it up the moment rain begins to fall, just to check if it's growing. You trust that beneath the soil, something is taking root. The same principle governs imagination, creates reality. Once you've impressed your desire upon the subconscious, the process is set in motion. All that's left is quiet persistence in feeling. Many people lose faith because they mistake delay for denial. But creation takes time to solidify, not because it's hard, but because the world is rearranging itself to match the new state. The unseen connections, the timing, the characters in your story, all are aligning. When things appear to fall apart, it's often the dismantling of the old pattern that makes room for the new. Neville once said, persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, for an assumption, though false if persisted in, will harden into fact. That's not wishful thinking, it's metaphysical law. The subconscious doesn't care whether something is currently visible, it only responds to sustained feeling. The longer you dwell in that state, the faster the outer must yield. You'll know you're persisting correctly when your reactions change. Where you once felt anxious, you now feel steady. Where you once argued with appearances, you now smile, knowing that the script is already written. That shift from resistance to quiet faith is what makes the miracle inevitable. The world cannot resist an inner conviction that refuses to collapse. Persistence is love in action, love for the reality you've already chosen. You're no longer trying to create it, you're honoring it, nurturing it, and staying loyal to it when it's invisible. That loyalty is magnetic. Eventually, the outer world gives in to the pressure of your inner truth, reshaping itself to match the story you've chosen to feel real. This gentle persistence doesn't mean ignoring reality, it means interpreting it differently. When something goes wrong, you simply remind yourself, even this is part of it aligning. You hold your state until evidence bends. That's the quiet power of living in the end, knowing that imagination is the cause, and reality is just the delayed effect. And when you master that stillness, that calm faith amid contradiction, something beautiful happens. The signs start to appear. Small synchronicities begin to whisper, "It's working." Confidence replaces effort, and you begin to recognize the early evidence that your inner world is starting to bloom in the outer. When the shift begins, it's subtle. You wake up one morning and something feels different, lighter, calmer, certain. You're not forcing belief anymore, it's just there. That's one of the first signs you're feeling it real. Neville Goddard said that when your assumption feels natural, it's already in motion. The universe has received your order and reality has started rearranging itself quietly in the background. The first sign is effortless confidence. You stop wondering if it will happen and start living as though it already has. It's not arrogance, it's knowing. You don't feel the need to overpray, overthink, or control every detail. The same way you trust that the sun will rise, you trust that your manifestation is unfolding. This quiet assurance is the emotional signature of alignment. Then come the synchronicities. You start overhearing conversations about your desire, seeing numbers or symbols that feel like winks from the universe, meeting people who mirror your new state. They aren't coincidences, they're reflections. The law of assumption manifestation works like a magnetic field. Once you've assumed the feeling, the outer world begins to echo it in playful, unexpected ways. You might notice that your reactions change. Situations that once triggered worry now make you smile. You stop chasing proof because the proof is already alive within you. That shift from reaction to quiet awareness is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. When you no longer need evidence, evidence arrives. Neville often said that naturalness is the measure of success. When your desired state feels ordinary, you've moved from wishing into being. The excitement fades into peace, and peace becomes proof. You no longer rehearse the imaginal scene every night because it's become part of you. You simply are the person who has it. Another sign is a sense of divine timing, that mysterious ease where everything starts falling into place without your interference. People call it luck, but it's actually the world rearranging itself to match your state. Doors open, calls come, ideas appear, not because you chased them, but because you aligned with them. The effort leaves and flow takes over. It's also common to feel a sudden wave of gratitude for no apparent reason. You might be driving or washing dishes when joy washes over you, as if something invisible has already clicked into place. That's your subconscious confirming. The assumption has been accepted. Reality hasn't fully caught up yet, but creation is finished. You're just watching it crystallize. Sometimes the old reality will still echo for a bit, but you'll notice you don't believe in it anymore. The doubts feel distant, like a language you no longer speak. You see through appearances and recognize them as fading reflections of who you used to be. That detachment isn't indifference, it's mastery. You've shifted from reacting to observing creation unfold. When these signs appear, celebrate them, not with desperate excitement, but with calm recognition. You're witnessing the first ripples of inner alignment turning into outer evidence. Each moment of synchronicity, each unexpected blessing is the universe whispering, "Yes, this is your new reality." And the deeper you go, the more you realize that feeling it real isn't something you do anymore, it's who you've become. That's when the effort truly disappears, because manifestation turns into embodiment. And from that embodiment comes something even greater, the realization that you're no longer trying to manifest at all. At a certain point, the practice dissolves, and all that remains is being. You stop doing the law of assumption and start living it. Deep embodiment isn't about trying to create reality. It's about recognizing that you are reality in motion. Neville Goddard called this living in the end. You no longer imagine to get something. You imagine because it's who you are. The wish and the wisher have become one. When you reach this state, everything simplifies. There's no more forcing affirmations, no more checking signs, no more wondering when. You just live naturally as the fulfilled version of yourself. Your thoughts, words, and reactions begin to align automatically. You walk differently. You speak with quiet certainty. You feel at home in the world because your inner world has already accepted the truth. Imagine an actor who has rehearsed a role so deeply that he no longer needs to act. He is the character. That's deep embodiment. You don't remind yourself of your desire. You express it effortlessly through your being. The world can't help but mirror it, because imagination creates reality, and now your imagination is no longer a scene, it's your identity. Neville used to say that the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you've entered the state of your answered prayer. But when you stay there long enough, that state becomes self-sustaining. You don't return to your old self because that version no longer feels real. The bridge between who you were and who you are has disappeared. This is the secret behind all great transformations. People call it luck, alignment, or divine intervention, but it's simply consciousness recognizing itself in a new form. The outer world, being nothing but a shadow of the inner, follows your state like a faithful echo. You no longer manifest through effort, you manifest through existence. In deep embodiment, even challenges lose their power to shake you. You stop seeing them as obstacles and start viewing them as opportunities to express your new state more clearly. You respond as the fulfilled version would respond. Calm, certain, unbothered. That's how the world learns who you've decided to be. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing outcomes, they begin to chase you. The people, opportunities, and experiences that match your state appear without struggle. This isn't because you've earned them, it's because you've become them. Consciousness doesn't attract, it reflects. You can only meet what you already are inside. Deep embodiment also brings peace. There's no tension, no urgency, no waiting. You live in the effortless rhythm of creation itself. Gratitude becomes your default, not because you're trying to manifest more, but because you finally see that everything is happening through you, not to you. This is when feeling it real turns into a lifestyle. You start moving through the world with quiet power, unhurried, grounded, radiant. You no longer look for miracles, you expect them, because miracles have become your natural environment. The outer world simply keeps catching up to the frequency you've stabilized within. And eventually you realize something profound. The journey is complete. You're not waiting, not hoping, not visualizing anymore. You're living from the end so fully that imagination and reality have become indistinguishable. And in that union, in that seamless awareness, you discover the final secret Neville Goddard pointed to all along. At the heart of every Neville Goddard teaching lies this timeless command: feel it real. It's not about pretending or wishing. It's about remembering that all creation is finished, that what you desire already exists in consciousness, waiting for you to claim it. When you imagine with belief, you're not fabricating a fantasy, you're tuning your awareness to a higher frequency of truth. Imagination doesn't create something new, it reveals what's already yours. The mind loves to complicate what the heart understands instinctively. You've had glimpses of this before, moments when you felt something so deeply that life rearranged itself around it. That's not coincidence, that's creation. Feeling it real is the language through which the invisible speaks into form. When you imagine and believe, you're issuing a divine command. Let this be so. Pretending says, maybe one day. Remembering says, it is done. The first carries tension, the second carries peace. You'll know you're truly imagining when the scene feels familiar, like something you've lived before. That familiarity isn't fantasy, it's recognition. You're remembering your own future, one that's already completed in the unseen. Neville Goddard often compared imagination to God himself, not distant but intimate, living within each of us. When you imagine with conviction, you're exercising that divine power consciously. You're not begging an external force, you're awakening the creator inside you. That's why feeling it real works, because consciousness is the only cause, and you are its center. Think of it like tuning a radio. The song is already playing, but you won't hear it until you align the frequency. Every wish already exists in the field of imagination. Your job is simply to match the emotional wavelength of fulfillment. When you feel the wish fulfilled, you tune into its signal. What you call manifestation is simply the moment you finally hear the music that's been playing all along. When you live from this awareness, life becomes art. You no longer struggle to make things happen. You express what's already complete. Every action flows from inspiration instead of effort. You stop asking how will it come because you understand that creation is finished. You're merely walking through the scenes you once imagined. Feel it real is more than a technique. It's a way of being. It means walking through life with quiet assurance, knowing that your imagination is the blueprint of your destiny. You trust the unseen more than appearances because you've experienced how swiftly the world bends to the one who feels it done. You're no longer creating from lack, but from remembrance. Each time you close your eyes and imagine, You're visiting a world that already exists. And every time you open them and persist in faith, that world draws nearer until it becomes the one you see. That's the rhythm of creation. Invisible becoming visible, idea becoming flesh. And it all begins with feeling it real. Neville said, "Dare to believe in the reality of your assumption and watch the world play its part to express it." That's the invitation. To dare, to imagine, to believe, to embody. Because your imagination isn't an escape, it's your creative authority. When you claim it, reality must obey. And so the journey ends where it began, in your own awareness. The dreamer wakes, realizing the dream was never separate from them. To feel it real is to remember, you are the dream, the dreamer, and the creation itself. And from that knowing, every miracle unfolds naturally. So now the question isn't whether imagination creates reality, it's whether you'll finally trust it enough to live as though it does. The world you see tomorrow is being built by the emotions you entertain tonight. Will you keep reacting to what is, or start responding to what can be? Every scene you imagine, every feeling you allow, is a seed, and those seeds never fail to grow. Close your eyes tonight and feel it real. Let gratitude replace doubt. Let peace take the place of waiting. Walk through life as the fulfilled version of yourself, and watch the outer world rearrange itself to confirm what you've already claimed within. And if this message resonated with you, if something inside you whispered, "This is the truth I've always known," then subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Each new video will help you go deeper into the law of assumption and awaken the divine creator within you. Because your imagination isn't fantasy, it's your destiny remembering itself.